So last week, we had a big old chat about the best way, like what was the preferred job with a dishwasher? Like, was it better to pack the dishwasher or was it better to unload the dishwasher? And Lockie was of the strong opinion that it was better to pack a dishwasher than it was to unload a dishwasher for a multitude of different reasons. And there were reasons that were very specific to the Beasley household. And he had a specific complaint against his dad because he was like, I think my dad's just figured this out and he's kind of guilt tripping me, so to speak, into like taking the crappier job so that he gets the better job. There was and I thought that would be the end of it. Usually like topics like that, like, you know, we say we're going to follow up and then we don't really follow up, or at least when we do, the follow up happens a long time after the fact. I was actually genuinely surprised the day that episode came out on Tuesday. I'm pretty sure it was that day, or it might have been the day after. We got a response from Lockie's dad to the question of which is better with dishwasher duty, and I'm bringing it up right now. Right, here it is. So this is, I thought we'll kick off the whole episode by saying here's an official response to episode 63, which is a proper good episode. It's a very spicy episode. I recommend everybody listen to it if you haven't listened to it before.
Release like a press release or something like that?
I mean, it's very exciting. Like, I read this and I was genuinely like shocked. I was like, what the fuck? Like, not in a million years did I think this was going to happen. I never thought we would actually get a response from Daddy Beasley himself. But here we go. So we got one, and it was, nice discussion on dishwasher duty. For the record, there's no strategy behind packing or unpacking. Whatever works to get it done. So right. He's just saying it's just sheer coincidence. And so that like, you know, he just agrees. He just goes, I don't really care. I'll pack, unpack, doesn't matter as far as he's concerned.
I was going to say, with Lockie's job, because I know Lockie works in the hospitality industry, I think for him, he prefers to pack the dishes away anyway when customers were allowed to actually go into the burger chain itself and eat, probably to pack it away instead of unloading, so he's not one of the last people there before closing time.
Oh, I see. So you reckon it's kind of like sort of some work stuff that's related that's going on there?
Yeah.
Like, kind of like...
From what you said, that's what I'm sort of getting the sense of from Lockie's point of view.
Right. Okay. But like, I can't believe...
I would second that.
Yeah, right. Okay, so it's sort of a work thing you think is what's going on there. All right, well, look, I've never... This is kind of a very unique situation for me, and it's a very unique situation for Pint Party, because I don't think we've ever served as the conduit of communication between two people living in the same house.
Fair point.
Like, that's just like a completely new, like, I mean, think about it, right? Lockie talked to us, right? And then we put out a podcast on the internet, and then his old man went on the internet and listened to said podcast and then responded again on the internet. So we're now sending the message back to... I'm going to have to tell Lockie to listen to this episode, because I'm not going to tell him in real life, because to complete this, I don't know how far this fucking chain's going to go. He might come on next week and be like, all right, I got a response to that. I don't know how far this is going to go. I genuinely don't know.
This could potentially be the running gag for Pine Party moving forward, and I'm looking forward to listening to each episode like I do every week, because I feel like that. You said last week's episode was spicy. I think it's just about to get a little bit spicier.
Mate, we might end up with some sprinklings of chili powder in every episode is probably what's going to happen if this is a continuing thing. Holy do it. Wow. That's kind of a twist I wasn't expecting in 2020, I'll tell you that. And with that, welcome to Pint Party, a podcast designed to turn a beer and a chat into a tax write-off. I'm your host, John McLeish. Joining me this week is a bit of a unique combination, actually. I don't think we've ever had a trio that's just the three of us. Joining me this week is Ricki Needs and Michael Thompson. Boys, welcome.
G'day.
That's like 3 weeks ago.
Was it us three weeks ago? Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's time kind of, you know, blends into things and just disappears. You know, I mean, episodes come and then they go. It's sort of like I'm constantly looking at the next episode. It's kind of where I'm at in my world. Okay, all right. So I thought this was a new combination, but it's not. There we go. So just more more of my brain falling apart. This is a thing that's going to happen.
And also, Johnny's a little bit surprised as well that I'm actually back 3 episodes later, whereas, I'm normally back every 12 to 13 episodes.
That's true. I am shook. I am proper shook right now at all of this. But I'm also shook because just today has been the last 12 hours has just been a strange coalescence of events really for me. I mean, sort of like finding out, like having this sort of drama continue on was kind of a surprise. And then finding out that like it might not have been safe to drink the water last night was a bit of an interesting thing that I learned. And then like, oh my God, it's all happening. Bloody hell. It's all wild. But
Melbourne is falling apart at the seams.
Melbourne is kind of falling apart at the seams a bit. We've got down trees everywhere. People have got power out. Michael's telling me
2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 weeks, people. Just 2 more weeks. Just hold the fuck on.
But like,
yes, please.
But like, Michael was telling me that there are certain people who aren't going to have power until like next week. So like, because here's the thing, right? I've been in power outages like before, like and long ones too. Like I remember, it was like, this would have been, geez, look, I think I was just out of high school. No, yeah, I think I was just out of high school. And it was summer, and of course it was a heat wave, and everybody had the air cons on, and then they ended up with blackouts because too much power being drawn from the grid, and we had no power all night and all day, and that was a whole thing. But then we got power kind of by like late afternoon, so in that time, smartphones were kind of a thing, and if you were a bit more careful with your smartphone usage, it wasn't that big of a deal. But I'm trying to think about people who. And this was kind of like over a weekend too, so it wasn't that big of a drama. But like, I'm trying to think about people who like over multiple days, like any smartphones, any battery powered tech you've got in your house is just going to get drained. Like, how do you set alarms to get up in the morning and stuff like that? Like, basically, you've got to live like it's the Middle Ages again, like pre-electricity times. So that's like the late 19th century is kind of the way you've got to live.
Well, I feel like I am sort of living in the Middle Ages because I still have to boil my water, which I've been doing for the last couple of days.
So what I mean, but if you've got no electricity as well, if you've got no way of like communicating with the outside world, especially with everybody in lockdown, like what are those people? What are they doing?
Scrabble or Yahtzee.
Scrabble or Yahtzee? Yeah.
Those are the two things. That's
I
it.
miss Yahtzee.
Scrabble or Yahtzee.
I loved Yahtzee.
Yahtzee's great.
A while.
Last time I
never
went
got into
home, I managed to get back home to Echuca just before we got locked down, and Mum pulled out the Yahtzee, and I was just like, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, we'll play Yahtzee." So like me and my brother and her and my brother's fiance all played Yahtzee together. It was weird, but like it was kind of nice just to be like, "Yeah, it's the fucking dice game. You put it's simple. It's one of those simple things."
We should play Yahtzee when we are able to sort of be together again. I want to do that.
Well, doesn't David hate Yahtzee or something?
Oh, I never got into it. No, I don't hate it.
No, he hates Uno.
He hates Uno, but like
That's right.
Yeah, but you can always talk him into a game. It's not very hard. Like
yeah.
But like with Yahtzee, it's one of those games that like everybody talks about, and I'm pretty sure my mum had Yahtzee in like the board game cupboard, but we never played it.
Yeah.
It was just a thing that never happened, and it wasn't even with my extended family or nothing. Like nobody I knew played Yahtzee. It just wasn't a thing growing up.
Fuck, we played so much Yahtzee.
Yeah, no.
Because it comes with like a little like scoring pad.
Yeah.
Right. That everyone writes their scores down. And when Mum pulled it out, a little while ago, like literally like most of the pad was taken up. It was only like the last few pages where you could write the scores down. And like each pad contains like you can play 5 games to a pad or to one sheet on the pad. And it's not a massively thick pad, but it's decent. But it was nearly gone. So like obviously when I was a kid, we played a fuck ton of Yahtzee. It's one of those things in our household that was like that. Some games of Monopoly, but not many. We had AFL Monopoly, just FYI, which is one of those things that like outdates itself so fucking quickly.
Yeah, it would do.
It was made in, this edition was like the late 90s, early 2000s.
I think 2002, 2003.
I don't know, but like Essendon and Carlton were the 2 top ones. So Michael, last time Carlton were any good, it was then.
That Thanks, Dickie.
Richmond were like middle of the pack, so
Mm.
this does feel like late 90s when it was printed. But yeah, like that's got to be like one of the quickest like outdating Monopoly versions you would ever have, because each year like teams aren't going to be anywhere near where they usually are. I just think it was like a weird thing to like do. And then the 4 stations were like the MCG, the SCG, the Gabba, and the Waco. No, the Subiaco, I'm pretty sure, or Adelaide Oval. I can't remember. It was just like, but I loved it because it was. I think my parents bought it because it was like, it's AFL. We'll get in to play a board game because it's fucking AFL. There we go. And yeah, we played a shit ton of it.
Yeah, no, I that was us. We were a Monopoly household. We were traditionalists, though. We've had traditional like Monopoly. Never went in for any of the gimmick Monopoly games. Although I really, really wanted. I remember I saw it. They did like a modern version of Monopoly with like little cards and stuff. And like instead of playing with like $100 and $500, you were playing with millions of dollars. And I was like, yeah, Monopoly for the 21st century. This is what I want to play. And then never got it. And honestly, though, looking back on it, I'm kind of glad I didn't because of the amount of electronics involved in that, it's sort of like, okay, well then if I ever want to play the fucking thing, I then got to find batteries and stuff to like make the whole bloody thing work. Whereas with the paper money system, it's just super easy to keep track of. Getting everything to work. But yeah, could you imagine? I'm just thinking about like sports monopolies that like would have outdated themselves really quick. Think about like if they'd have done like an NRL monopoly, and like at that time, like you would have had one of the train stations as like Telstra Dome, and that stadium has now been renamed twice since then.
Yeah, it's so outdated.
So I feel like if you pulled out like NRL monopoly today, people would go Telstra Dome. Where's that? That's Marvel Stadium. That's yeah. But before that, it was called Etihad Stadium. And then it was Telstra Dome.
Or like Olympic Park, for example, which has now been rebuilt as Amy Stadium or Amy Park here.
Oh, is that what that is? That's Olympic.
Yeah,
that was Olympic Park.
That used to be Olympic Park back in the day, but now it's called it's Amy Park.
I thought they built the Amy Stadium next to Olympic Park.
Oh, basically you've got Amy Park, which is where Olympic Park used to be, and then next door to it is Gosh's Paddock, where both Melbourne and Collingwood train. And then next door to that one, you've got Collingwood's home base of, I think it's called the Holden Centre now. It used to be called like the Lecture Centre, the Westpac Centre, Eddie Maguire Centre, and now I think it's called the Holden Centre.
It is the Holden Centre. I have a funny story about that place.
Oh yeah, go on.
Yeah, it was the 2017 grand final when Richmond won first premiership in 37 years, and we were all like partying on Swan Street in Richmond, and about 3 a.m, the cops started to like move us all along, and because they didn't want to shut down the street. They were like, we're not shutting down Swan Street. We need trams to go up and down there all day and all night. Like, we're not shutting down the street. Siren goes, we've won. We give them no choice but to shut down the street because we all spilled out of the pubs and out of the G onto Swan Street, and it was a street party at that point. It was just there's nothing the cops can do. Tough shit. Just you're gonna have to shut it down for the night. So they did. But finally, yeah, like 3 o'clock, they get sick of us and they're like, fucking move on. Just go anywhere but here. So I took that as my time to like, right, I'm fucking going home. It's been fun, but I need sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else, so they started shunting them towards the city. And if you go down Swan Street, which turns into Olympic Boulevard, towards the city, you go past Amy Park, Gosh's Paddock, and the Holden Centre, which is Collingwood's home. As Richmond fans, we don't like Collingwood. So at some point during the night, you know those like really tall like traffic bollards that have the hexagonal weights at the bottom.
Yep.
Someone took one of those weights off the traffic cone. As they're walking past the Holden Centre, they frisbeed it into the front door and it wedged itself in the glass at the front of the Holden Centre.
Oh, shit.
And so I heard about this off a mate who kept going out. He kept going that night because I would work the next day. But I had to go back to Richmond to pick up my car from my friend's place and then drive to work. So I've heard about this. I'm like, fuck, that's funny. Like, that's just typical Richmond. Fuck Collingwood. frisbee a massive hexagonal weight through the front door of their bloody building. Anyway, so I picked up my car from my mate's place in Richmond. I'm driving to work. I'm like, fuck, I'll just swing by the Holden Centre on the way to work because it was kind of on the way, and I'll just see if it's still there. And lo and behold, 4:00 the next day in the afternoon, so it's been there for a good 12 hours, still embedded in the front door of the Holden Centre was this huge hexagonal weight, and there'd been two little bollards and a bit of tape had been put up in front of it, but they hadn't taken the time to actually remove it out of the fucking front door. But I just thought that was it was a brilliant thing because it was the fucking cops' fault. Like they shunted us and pushed us towards the city, and they just happened to go straight past the Collingwood Centre. So I feel it's more their fault than ours.
How those things are fucking heavy. Like you've got to be a beefy lad to put that through a window, especially because you said it was embedded in the window. So that's some thick ass glass. Yeah,
it was like. Have you seen some Richmond supporters? There's some big fellas.
Yeah.
That bag for Richmond, and they must have got some fucking torque on that motherfucker and just almost like a hammer throw, swung around.
Yeah.
And then just let it go at the right time and it just went thunk and just embedded itself in the fucking glass.
Surely there was more than one person who helped the person who actually did it.
Maybe it was a fucking 3 or 4 people got in a line and just sort of started swinging around in a circle. Because obviously the further you are from the fulcrum point of a swing, the faster you go. So maybe one guy just stood in the middle and then 3 guys hang on to him and he just starts turning around, creates this, insane amount of momentum on the outside of that and just, or maybe just one big bloke who's like, fuck this shit. And then just like a frisbee.
I'm more inclined to think it's more one big beefy bloke, just because the amount of engineering involved in that 3-person swing set, plus alcohol, the maths doesn't
not happening.
Work. Yeah,
yeah. Everyone, the state of everybody that night was. It's one of the most fun nights I've ever had out in Melbourne, just because of the circumstances around it. But just looking at everyone, just a snapshot of that night, we were all fucked. Most people have started drinking, grand final starts at 3 in the afternoon, but everyone starts drinking at I had my first beer at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And everyone does the same thing. It's grand final day. It's one of the best days of the year. So you start drinking pretty early.
Right.
And the fact that I managed to make it till 3 o'clock in the morning was a damn good effort. The fact that people kept going.
That's a fantastic effort.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get that adrenaline rush of your team having won their first premiership, especially in my lifetime, nothing is going to slow you down for a long time until everything sort of, eventually your body gets to a point where it's no more. It's time for sleepies. But adrenaline and that huge endorphin hit is it goes a long way. And the same thing happened in 2019 when we won last year. One of the best nights I've ever had out in my life. It was just incredible. Swan Street was exactly the same. It was just this huge street party where they had to close down the entire street from one end to the other. And it's just one of those nights where you don't feel tired until you are I lasted I think till 4 in the morning last year. And that was I got home and just crashed and I was out for a good 12 hours, woke up, watched the replay and then went back to bed.
No, I think I went through something similar to that when I was on a cruise ship, and I know Ricky's not going to like me saying this, but when the Patriots came back from the brink of being Super Bowl, I went through sort of an endorphin thing too. So I thought, all right, the Pats have won the Super Bowl. I'm on a cruise ship. What's the best thing to do to celebrate your team winning the Super Bowl? Keep drinking. So I think I had 5 or 6 fish bowls that day, and I kept drinking that. I kept drinking that through dinner. And then there was a band playing at night time, and I was still wearing my patch jersey around the ship. And I think I didn't get to bed until, I think almost 3 o'clock, 3:30 after I smashed, I think 1 or 2 pizzas from the upstairs buffet.
Oh my God.
They say cocaine's a hell of a drug. Endorphins are a hell of a fucking drug too.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
They will push you through a lot of things and just fucking get through it.
Fucking San Francisco gets destroyed every time the 49ers win the Super Bowl.
Yeah. But and everyone's just hopped up on the best feeling ever. Just fuck it, we'll figure it out tomorrow. We'll fix it tomorrow.
Yeah.
We broke all those shop windows. We'll fix them tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah. Fucking hell, I miss sport.
It's just endorphins and learn and like doing all sorts of crazy shit. It's kind of amazing like how much the human body can do, but it's also amazing like how much you can kind of like learn about yourself, kind of being at home. Like I think I've learned something about myself, kind of being in this lockdown, and I think it's that I have allergies. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, like springtime allergies. Like like there's some like pollen thing.
Was it a first time thing? Like, when did you start sort of experiencing these symptoms of allergies?
Well,
JM?
the thing is that like I think it's something that I've had my whole life. I've just never put two and two together until like right now, because there's no other stimuli. It's like, well, it's got to be that, or it's not, or it can't be anything else. Because like I remember as a kid, it used to be a regular thing that around this time this year, kind of like when it started to warm up, by about mid-morning, I would do like 6 sneezes in a row. I would sneeze 6 or 7 times. And like it used to be a thing, like you could almost set your fucking watch to it. Like 10 o'clock in the morning, John's gonna sneeze. Like that's what it was. And it would. 10 o'clock rolls around, boom, I'd start sneezing. And I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And I just thought it was just like, I was just like, oh, well, you grow and bits of your body grow at different weight rates. And I just thought it was just sort of like an oddity of growing up that like nobody thought to tell me about. Hey, by the way, you're going to sneeze mid-morning. That's welcome to fucking, welcome to adolescence. And I was like, okay, all right. And it was a thing that would happen kind of regularly. And then, like, in high school, it stopped being, like, 10 o'clock in the morning because of, like, hormones and shit. But it started being, like, I would have these kind of sneezing fits as it would warm up. But I never thought about it. I was just sort of like, yeah, I sneeze sometimes. Because I've also got a particularly sensitive sense of smell. And so I've always had a sensitive nose. And I've always just chalked it up to that. I was like, yeah, I got a sensitive nose. Shit happens. All sorts of weird shit goes on with my nose. And you just don't think about it. But now that I'm at home, like... And you really notice that when it's warming up, when you've got nothing else to look at, you know what I mean? Like you really notice when the sun comes out and shit like that. And so like, I went outside and I went and enjoyed the outside for a bit. And then I came inside and about half an hour later, my nose just went nah and just completely packed it in. And was just like, fuck you. What the fuck did you think you were doing going outside, you asshole? Fuck you. And then just completely shut down. And it seems to be pretty consistent. If I go outside right now, my nose is going to shut down. It seems to be a thing. So I think I've got allergies, guys.
That sucks. Allergies are the fucking worst.
It's not that bad though. Like I mean, it's my nose packs it in, but that's it. Like I don't get a scratchy throat. I don't get the puffy eyes. Like everything else that everybody else talks about, I don't get. It's just my nose.
I'll say this.
The puffy eyes are the worst.
Yeah, they are. I will say this though. I actually almost... and mirroring you too, Johnny, I didn't really have much allergies until last year. But last year, I copped a lot of allergies. Like, I had watery eyes. I was sneezing non-stop. And I always had, like, my handkerchief with me too when I was going to work or when I was going out with friends. Because I knew that I needed to sneeze and I was going to be sneezing. So, for the first time last year in my entire life, I was actually taking hay fever tablets, which I've never taken once before. But I'm like... it must be a thing because a lot of people in my family suffer from hay fever as well. And like, it's a genetic, I think it must be like a genetic thing in my family that everyone has hay fever.
Like hay fever.
It's just going to be one of those things you either react to or you don't. And like, as someone who has taken cortisone injections to sort of get rid of the worst effects of hay fever, it's not fun. It's really not. It can eat a dick, in fact. It ruins your spring, kind of ruins your summer, depending on how long it lasts for, because usually it like by December, but is one of the least fun things you will ever have happen to you. If it gets really bad, it can get fucked.
Yeah, because it's about mid-December to late December where it's sort of the pollen count sort of drops a lot more.
So all the plants die, and good riddance to them. Fuck them.
Hay fever,
Yeah,
that's the word. I was dancing around the word because I knew there was a word for this, but I couldn't remember the word. That's why I just called it allergies. I'm like, I don't remember the word for this thing. Hay fever, that's the word.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's hay fever, it's allergies. Like, because mine is dust. So all year round, I will have reactions to dust.
Oh, yeah.
And then my other big one is certain plant pollens, mostly really fine ones. So stuff like wattle, lavender, shit like Banksias really fuck me. Stuff like that. But like, say, pets. don't bother me at all. But a lot of people get like hay fever through their pets because their pets bring in a lot of like dust particles and stuff, or just like weird pet particles in the house. But that for some reason doesn't affect me. But like dust and certain tree pollens do affect me. Everyone's different, and that's why like I will change up. And this is for anyone out there that suffers from hay fever. You all probably know this by now, but anyone, say John, like you, who has never really experienced it, I switch up my medication every single year. So I used to take cortisone, but eventually your body gets used to that. So I stopped doing it. But that was when I was like missing days of school or weeks of school at a time because my eyes would, during the night, like get all gunked up because they were weeping so badly that I couldn't see. So that wasn't fun. But yeah, each year I'll have a different, I'll do like Zyrtec or Claritin or, whatever. Because each of them have a different active ingredient and your body will get used to them over the course of a season. So if you do use one year and then use it the next year, your body's like, I'm used to this shit, and it builds up antibodies to it. So you got to keep changing it up because each year something different will affect you, or like something will add to the effect of hay fever. So you kind of got to switch up what you use because your body is pretty good at getting used to stuff, and then that stuff becomes not effective at all.
And for all those who work at Bunnings and is listening to this podcast as well, make sure that every time you see Ricki around, once you all reopen up after stage 4 restrictions in Melbourne in particular, don't let him into the plant section this spring because you'll be seeing a person sneezing uncontrollably for the next 3 months or so.
I used to work at a Bunnings and it was not fun.
I bet.
It
was mostly the dust.
I didn't realize how much fucking bullshit goes into dealing with hay fever. It's just it's the fuck you that keeps on fucking. Like my god.
It's literally the worst thing in the world. Well, it's not really the worst thing in the world, but it is terrible. Like
it's a pain in the ass by the sound of it. Like
it is. Like it just ruins your day. Like cuz you just wake up feeling like shit immediately. Like I always wake up pretty lethargic cuz usually I haven't had a good night's sleep because I can't breathe because my fucking nose is all blocked up, or my eyes, I want to scratch my corneas off. And then like that's how your day starts, and then it just gets fucking worse from there because you have the best thing it's the 5 minutes after you've had a shower, because usually after a shower you've washed all the pollen and dust off your face from the day before, and there's nothing for your body to react to, and then you fucking hoof down whatever medication you need for the day, and then you're good. But then you go outside, and the minute you go outside, then you're fucked. Then it's just like all the pollen just fucking attaches to your face and just that's it. Your day's over. And it's hell for the next 12 hours until you can get home and kind of wash it off your face and try to feel okay for a little bit. But it's not fun. It's really shit. And anyone that suffers from it, they'll tell you that it's just, it can eat every dick.
I will say this as well really quickly too, Johnny, before I pass it back over to you. But every time Ricki used to come in and do his movie reviews at Southern FM for our show, he would always be sneezing at this time of year quite a bit before he goes on air.
Yeah.
And sometimes he would have to leave the studio in a song break before he's actually got his airtime to just go outside quickly, have a quick sneeze or so, and then come back inside. And hopefully by the time he's normally fine or so, but sometimes he wasn't. Sometimes he looks like he's about to sneeze while he's doing a review.
No, I feel that. I had to, like, 2 weeks ago, because, like, I mean, technically, I think spring, like, at the time of recording, I think spring is technically supposed to start either tomorrow or the next day. I know, the next day. So by the time this podcast comes out, it will be the first day of spring in Melbourne, right?
Yep.
According to the calendar. But I think actually, in truth, right, I think actually spring started about 2 weeks ago. I think is actually what really happened in the world. But, like, because climate change and shit. But, like, no, the calendar says spring isn't until Tuesday, right? Which is when the new episode of Pint Party comes out. And we're going to stick to that, despite the fact that it makes absolutely no sense. And like, I was in the middle of a stream, and, like, I had to sneeze. And I was like, okay, excuse me. I had a sneeze. Happens every now and again. You get the odd sneeze, right? Because you get a little. Because I do react to dust a little bit, but not that much. Just if like a particular dust cloud just happens to like hit me, it's like, okay, well then you're gonna sneeze. But it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And like I had to cancel the rest of the stream. I was like, okay, I'm sorry guys, I gotta stop streaming right now because like I just can't function. My nose is completely packed in, my sinus is buggered. Like this is just really, really bad. I spent the rest of the evening just kind of like dealing with that. It was a whole fucking situation. Oh my God. Went through like half a roll of toilet paper, just like blowing my nose.
And of course, as well, when you are trying to sleep during spring too, when your allergens are playing up too, it sort of wreaks havoc on your sleeping pattern a little bit. I don't know if you guys get that.
I mean, I don't have a sleeping pattern, but it makes it worse.
Yeah, well, I've only just recently got a sleeping pattern, and I'm very proud of my sleeping pattern. And it hasn't affected it thus far, although I have found, but I think part of that is just because of where my room's located. Like, it's pretty far away from like any like from my back door or my front door or any of that sort of stuff. So like, you know, paths where pollen and things can get into my house, like it's about as far away from that as you can get. So I think being in there with the door closed doesn't seem to cause me any problems. So I think I'm pretty okay with that. But like, you know, yeah, I was just so like basically once I'm out of the, you know, the immediate vicinity of the stuff that makes me go sneeze, I think I'm pretty good. But yeah, it's like I said, it's a thing I'm just really learning about myself, is that there's this mild allergy thing that I think I've had for a long time and I just never noticed it. And now, you know, when you've got nothing else, when you've got no other stimuli, right? It's like these sorts of things that you really never thought about and noticed before become very, very, very noticeable in lockdown. And so like, yeah, I think I learned about that. I was just wondering if like, honestly, I was sort of curious if there was anything you have like learned about yourselves in this sort of lockdown, like things that you never really would have noticed before, but now that you think about it, you're like, huh, yeah, that has been a thing for a while. Like, is there any other like, you know, yeah, things that you've noticed about yourself, you've learned about yourselves in lockdown? It's a bit of a thinker.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I'm still going to work every day. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's not the same job I had at the start of lockdown, because that job doesn't exist anymore. But I got a new job. But I'm still going to work most days. So I don't know. It's like, it's been weird for me that like, yeah, I'm still going through all the bullshit everyone else is, because literally I've been to 3 places in the last 4 months or whatever it's been now. It's a home, work, and the supermarket, and that's it.
Actually, speaking of that, so Google, like, because I share my location data with Google, like Google knows a lot about me at this point. But once a month, I get an email from Google. About once a month, I get an email from Google saying, hey, here's where you've been in the last month. Go and, you know, have a look at the map and reminisce about where you've been. And usually, look, honestly, I'm not a particularly like traveling person. I don't go to a lot of places, but when I do, they pop up on Google Maps and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember when I went to that place, I went to that bar or whatever, and oh, that was fun, that was a good night. You know, like it is a nice email to receive usually. I think it was I haven't gotten one now for a few months, actually, for at least 2-3 months. Because I think Google kind of got caught wind. It was just like, yeah, we're going to stop doing that for a while. But they sent me an email and they were like, hey, here's where you've been for the last month. And it was 2 places, my house and the supermarket. Yep. And that was it. And they're both within a kilometer of each other. And that was it. That's everywhere I had been in the last 30 days prior to that email. It was like, like it stopped being an exciting email. Like I got the email and I was like, huh. Okay, well, let's have a read of it. Because usually they're a good email. Usually they're, like I said, they're a good little nostalgia trip. So out of habit, I clicked on it. But I was also like really curious. I'm like, what is it going to say? And yeah, it was just 2 dots. And I was just like, yep, that's pretty much exactly what I expected to see. Cool.
I used to love getting that email.
Yeah, me too. I love getting that email.
Especially when I was working 2 jobs, going to uni, and doing radio. The craziness of where I would, like, how far I would travel in a day fucking blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because like I would go from, and this is like when I was living in like either Pascoe Vale or in Blackburn or something, like I'm out of the city a little bit. So it'd be like from my place to uni to one of my jobs, and then I'd like swing back by university. And this is when we had like the 3 Star Clubhouse. Have to like do some uni work there, then go home or something. Like the amount of kilometers I covered when I was doing that. And like, I recommend to anybody to work 2 jobs, volunteer at radio, and go to uni at the same time. Because I fucking was very unwell because I did not give my body any time to rest. Don't do it.
Yeah.
But the me falling asleep behind the wheel of the car on the way, one of those things, and nearly crashing was the wake up call, literally, that I needed to drop one of those things. But it was just crazy, just because I'd flick day to day, and because my job is I work overnight. When I was at Crown, you'd almost link, if I was working 4 days in a row, 4 days would link together, because my car would be stopped at 11 o'clock one night, and it'd start moving again at 4 or 5 in the morning when I'd finish work, and then I'll go and sleep for 3 hours and go straight to uni. So yeah, it was fucked. And I just remember going through those maps, just being God, I travel a lot of kilometers and do a lot of shit. And then there'd be the one day of the week where I just would not move from the one spot, and those were the best fucking days. It'd be my one day where I don't have either of my jobs, radio or uni, to go to, and you just see the dot just on my fucking bedroom in my house, just being he didn't move today. No kilometers were achieved. Maybe I'll walk up to the shops to buy a pack of smokes and back, and that was it. But yeah, no, I just, it was fascinating to see how far you travel in a day.
Yeah.
Those little maps, and just insanity.
Yeah, no, I did enjoy them. And like I said, I haven't gotten one for a while, and I suspect that's because Google's been you know what? I mean, basically, we're going to be sending the same email to literally everybody, and they're a little bit more depressing now than they used to be. So maybe we'll just hit the pause button on that little automated service for the next little while. Although, you know what, though? If they are going to send me one, it'd be sometime in the next few days. So I might end up, next week being never mind, they sent another one, and it said the exact same fucking thing again. Because there's, again, 2 places. Well, no, actually, that's not true. I think this month I did go somewhere else. I think it was this month. It might have been last month. Oh, shit, now I don't remember. I went and got tested, which came back negative. Yeah. So there'd be a 3rd place. There'd be my house, the supermarket, the testing center, and that's it.
It's a fun life we live.
That'd be even more depressing, actually, if I got that email. Hey, you went to 3 places. One of them was not fun.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. So that'd be that'd be an interesting email to receive. But speaking of things that are a bit of a bummer, it's interesting that usually around this time of year, I play a lot of video games, and usually around this time of year, you start to see a lot of AAA releases come out, and usually, especially when you look at those really big games, it's things like Call of Duty or Gears of War or things like that, very violent video games, right? And it's interesting that this time around this year, what's taken off is the complete opposite of that. My Twitter feed right now in terms of video games is Fall Guys, Microsoft Flight Simulator, and for some obscure reason, I'd actually because you two are sports fans, for some obscure reason, PGA Tour 2K21. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know that is it the same 2K people? Is that the people who do the basketball one?
Yeah.
And also he also ill-fated WWE games too.
Oh, and the yeah. They do the basketball and the WWE.
They are trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I heard the basketball one was absolutely atrocious. But anyway, I don't want to talk about bad games. Just the fact that there's a golf game made by 2K is wild. And people are getting super into it. I'm not even kidding. Every single day this week, I've seen screenshots and posts about that game not from the company.
Yeah, I think it is one of those things that people just wanted just an outside simulator right now, and it might be the best example of that, because I mean, at least where we are, golf courses are still closed. You can't go out and have a hit. It's I don't know. Maybe just golf is popular right now. I don't know. It could be.
Playing golfing for some reason. And it's become the thing to do for a lot of people during isolation.
And also, I think the last batch of 2K games have not been good. The WWE ones are rushed every year. The NBA ones always come out with there's like a day one or week one like 20 gigabyte patch because they fucked something up like before releasing it. And it all gives them a bad name. Whereas all I've heard from this is like they took their time with it, and it does what it needs to do. It plays golf really well, and that's all. Like I've played golf games in the past. They're just kind of relaxing. There's no like with 2K like basketball, it's real fast paced. You got to be up and down the court and doing all the things and stuff. This is just, you put you in front of the tee, you pick your club, you pick your strength, or you pick your direction, you pick how strong it's going to be, and then you hit it, and then you watch it sail through the air. And for a moment, everything is at peace because the ball's just in the air. And then you hook it, and you're just like, "Fuck this shit! Why the fuck do I play this game?"
It's like Lee Carvello's putting challenge.
Yeah, for that moment, for that moment of just that little bit of serenity, everything is okay with the world. And I think maybe that's why people are like, and also like they've pushed it massively with the marketing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like I know, like I've been buying a lot of my video games online via like JB Hi-Fi and EB Games, and I've got a couple of games coming from both stores in the next week or so. But yeah, like I've been seeing like massive banners on their website promoting PGA 2K21.
Yeah. It's weird. Like they got shit. I can't remember his actual name. They got Shooter McGavin.
Oh really?
There's an ad out there. Yeah, there's an ad out there. So it's who is it? It is a golfer. They got the Miz from WWE.
Is it Roy McIlroy?
Maybe. He did sound Irish. It could be. I'm not really up with my golfers.
As you can tell.
Except for John Daly. John Daly is fucking king. So it's I think it might be Rory. It's someone else, the Miz, and then they got the bloke who plays Shooter McGavin, and they're playing like because you can play like 4-player multiplayer on like online.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's them. Yeah, it's them playing around a golf in the ad, and them all just like bagging out Shooter McGavin, which is brilliant. Like it works on like because it's hitting that like our age group right now that like grew up with fucking Happy Gilmore as being like the only reason any of us care about golf is because of that fucking movie.
Yeah,
I really want to see this video now. I'm actually going to look at it after.
Like it's popped up on a couple of like my YouTube pre-rolls, and it's one of the ones where I'm just like, I'm going to let it play. It's a fun ad. But yeah, like they've been pushing the marketing for it really well. The fact that they've now added the 2K, because there have been PGA Tour games previously, but I think this is the first time they've really like whacked the 2K marketing in front of it, because people know like 2K, for wrestling and for mostly for basketball.
Hey.
But the fact they've whacked it in front of it, like maybe they're just looking for that different market that doesn't want just like a really fast-paced basketball game or like Madden with the NFL. Like there are a lot of fans out there of golf, and golf is, I like to play golf. I don't like to watch golf.
Yeah.
But like just having a game that's a bit more like meticulous and like choosing your clubs, choosing, how hard you want to hit the ball, making sure you don't slice or hook it or whatever. Like there's thought that goes into sort of how you would approach each shot. So I can see the appeal of that for people. And also like anyone that says that Wii Golf wasn't the best part of Wii Sports can go fuck themselves, because Wii Golf was the best part of Wii Sports. So it's a more involved version of that.
Yeah, I was trying to think about like golf games that I'd played in the past, and I think like my first thought, like I remember I tried reaching really far back. There was, I don't know the name of it, but there was a DOS game. This is how far back I'm fucking reaching. There was a DOS golf game I played when I was a really little kid. I don't know the name of it, but there was that. And then after that, it was Mario Golf on the N64.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think and then I never really had a Wii. And then I did get one, and then the sensor bar broke the first time I used it because it was secondhand.
Lovely.
Yeah, so like basically it's now just sat in a corner collecting dust.
Yeah, they do that.
But I played Wii Golf at somebody else's house, and that was fun.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like I never really played a lot of golf games like that. And all three of those times where I played golf games, like we're talking, there's there's like, 5 to 10 years apart between each one. So like, it's been a while since I've played a golf game.
The cycle has come back around. So, maybe.
Yeah, maybe
this one's for you,
mate. I've been seeing everybody on Twitter talking about it. I'm like, this actually looks like something I'd want to play, and I think part of it is part of it is that there's like the people that one of the people I follow on Twitter, they've been treating it like it's a fucking reality show. Like there's apparently like you can get into like rivalries and shit with other players, and that gives you like objectives and shit to do. And I'm like. Somehow, like it seems like the department at 2K that make the WWE games just got shunted over onto PGA Tour, and they were like, feuds. We need feuds. We need that to be a mechanic in this video game. Okay, so we're going to do that. We'll implement feuds, and like the whole rest of the department that actually makes the golf games are like, that's fine. We'll let you kids play in the corner and do that while we actually make the real video game. But then that bit of the video game was actually a really good fucking bit, and it was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, because for me, thinking about it, I was like, that's an interesting thing to include in the video game. But like for me, it seems like the reason why a lot of people are playing it is because it's a game that requires strategy and skill, but neither of those things are paired also with speed. So you don't need to do the strategy or execute the skills very quickly, which is like basically every other kind of like, first person shooter or racing game, or, even things, even the other sports games like, like fucking Madden. Like I tried it once. I tried playing Madden because I was like, you know what, I'll give it a go. Why not? Yeah. And I got Madden 20. I didn't buy it. I got it through EA's subscription shit. And I played it, and I was like, and like it was so fucking brutal and so unforgiving that like unless I was playing just exhibition match mode where I just picked two teams and I just played, like the whole single player campaign never held your hand. The single player campaign was like, we need you to do a line drive all the way to the end zone without like, without getting a fourth down ever. And it was sort of like, nobody does that in the real world. It's like, no, like I've never I've watched NFL matches and like that's like an extremely rare thing to happen. It's a fucking magic moment that like gets remembered in the annals of history for decades. And they were just like, yeah, we need you to do that kind of on the regular. Like we need you to pull off these once in a lifetime plays like every single level. And it was and then like, the tutorial section, there was a whole tutorial section you could do that's completely separate. And honest to God, I would have I did the tutorial for 4 hours, and it wasn't that I was struggling with like picking up any of the commands. There was just that much to learn. For 4 hours, I did the tutorial, and I wasn't even halfway through the tutorials. Like there's just like the barrier to entry was just so ridiculously high that like I'm honestly amazed that the game continues on the way it does.
Yeah, but you got people that have been playing it since like Madden fucking 6 or Madden 5 or something, that like it's incremental changes from there till now, but someone jumping in now, it's what the fuck is any of this? And I get that. Like I watch a lot of NFL. Michael watches a lot of NFL, but like if you're giving me a Madden game, I'm gonna be like okay at it. Like I'll know what all of the words mean and how to put them together, but then to actually implement that and do well in the game, that's when you're going to stump me. Because I have like periodically played a Madden game here or there. I think the last one I actually played a lot of was actually Madden 07 or Madden 08, because me and my brother got it from like a secondhand shop, and we spent one summer on the 360 playing Madden. But the difference between Madden 08 and what Madden is now is fucking night and day. So I would have like, I am actually planning on getting the latest Madden game because I haven't played one in a while. I'm like, fuck, I really need to like get good at it again. But if you're jumping in with like sort of a base hand knowledge of like what an NFL game constitutes, plus adding on like the back end, you've got to like make all the decisions and make the plays, and are you going to like rush the passer, or are you going to like sit back and like load your linebackers up, or like there's so many fucking variables when it comes to the NFL, and that's why I love watching it. because you like every single like stoppage and like complain, oh, there's too many stoppages in the NFL. It's like, yeah, I know, I get that, but each stoppage is a new like game of chess because you've got your offense and like your defense is thinking, okay, what's this offense good at? What do they usually do on first down, second down, third down, fourth down? What are the last like 20 games they've played? What play have they played on each of these downs? And like, okay, what wide receivers are lining up on which side of the line? Have you got your best wide receiver on the left and the second best on the right, or is it swapped? And why are they swapped? Is there a reason they're doing that? Is one guy going to run a slant? Is one guy going to run a line? Like, there's so many things that go into each single play, and like each offense and defense have to like work out on the fly. Like, all right, what is the best scenario? Because you've got like, I think it's like 20 seconds. Each play is only 20 seconds at a time.
It's about 20 to 40 seconds, depending on which down or where bats you've placed in the pitch.
Yeah, I can't remember. I should know this. I don't know why I don't. But yeah, each down is like an opportunity for this chess match to happen. And I find that so fascinating. But then to like me to try to work that out during a game of Madden is like, fucking Hail Mary. Just Hail Mary every single time. Just everyone run a fucking line and I'm going to pass it the furthest down the field. Done. Simple. And if you hit that at least like 3 or 4 times, then you're good. And you're probably going to win the game against the fucking the computer. But yeah, it's a fucking hell of a curve to even like get into NFL in general and then to like go and play a game where like all of a sudden you're making all the decisions. It's a bit rough. Like, but I don't know. That's kind of why I love, that's why I love American football. It's just it's such a fucking chess match.
Yeah, no, I like NFL is sort of one of those things that like once it clicked, right? Like once it clicked, I was like, oh, this is actually what the game is. Because I didn't understand what the game was for a very long time and it just didn't make any sense. I'm like, why are they stopping all the time? This makes no sense. And then once I understood, like the concept of downs and plays and stuff like that, I was like, yeah, like the chess elements became super clear. And I was like, oh, this is actually a really fucking fun game to watch. The problem for me ultimately has just been like location. It's sort of like, if you want to watch these games, they're on at like obscure times in Australia and you need cable television for the most part and shit like that. But like I loved it. Amazon Prime for a while, you could watch live NFL matches on Amazon Prime Video for a while. They had like 12 matches and it was fucking great. It was like, cool, I could just sit here and watch football. It's great. And it was a good moment. And they were also on at like semi-reasonable times in Australian time zones, which was very surprising. And that was cool.
Yeah, it's always like the late night games are on at like 10 o'clock here during the day. So they're like perfect. Although I would usually like, because over there Sunday, for some reason, they block all of their games on one a week, except for like there's one game on a Thursday and then one game on a Monday. And those are like the big, like the marquee games of the week. Then everything else gets fucking squashed into Sunday. And I don't know why, but I think it's just the way that they're like TV rights or whatever, however it works. So all games except 2 are played on a fucking Sunday. And so I will usually wake up, and this is like when I was working at the pub, I specifically asked for Mondays off because Mondays were always either WWE pay-per-views because there are Sunday nights there.
Yep.
Or it was football. It was Sunday night football. So I would wake up around like 5 in the morning, which is usually about when like the second block of games starts. And I would just like flick between I would get like, the 7 mate game because there would always be like one live or a couple of live free-to-air games on 7 mate once that became a thing. And then I'd have Ozstar or Foxtel going, and I'll be watching whatever ESPN was playing as well. And I was kind of be like flicking between the two, or I'd have like one on one screen and one on the other, and just kind of just be watching and just being surrounded by football for an entire day. And then there'd be like the main game on starts around like 10 o'clock our time, which was usually like the Patriots or Green Bay or fucking New Orleans or like one of the big teams. Would always get like a shot on Australian TV. And that's why it kind of sucks barracking for one of the more smaller end teams because we never got games on TV, which sucked. Unless we're playing the Patriots, which they can go fuck themselves. I'm not sorry.
Of course you say that.
Well, they fuck them. What do you do with that, Brady? No Brady, no win, mate.
We got no Brady, no Gronk.
No.
We're in for an interesting season, that's for sure.
You guys are fucked. Anyway, my new job, I'm working Mondays, and the football season is fast approaching, and I'm trying to work out when to approach the boss and just be like, hey, can I just not work Mondays from now on? Which is going to be hard because Mondays are the busiest day of the week, because we've got all the orders to fulfill from the weekend. So I don't know how he's going to take it, but I'm going to ask. just like I don't want to work Mondays. Why? American football?
To be fair, in Melbourne, saying "Can I have a day off because of sport?" is the least craziest thing you can do.
That is a good point.
You're in with a good. Statistically, you're going to have a better chance of it succeeding here than anywhere else on the planet.
Yeah. Look, I'm just praying because I currently I don't work. I only work 4 days a week, mostly just because I don't want to be on public transport every day of the goddamn week.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I'm just gonna see if I can swap my days off from Fridays to Mondays, and I'll go back to work on Fridays. I don't care anymore. It's fine. Days are meaningless. But I just want to be able to just sit down. I've been trying with the basketball, but basketball, they went on strike this week, and then it's it's mostly been played on days where I'm at work, so I've been missing the basketball. And it was I would just love one day, Monday, just to sit down and just watch 8 to 9 hours straight of just football games or NFL games. And it would just make this whole lockdown bullshit just a little bit nicer and a little bit easier to deal with if I could just sit down, turn my brain off, and just watch sport for 8 hours straight.
So when does NFL season start?
Usually starts in October. So
okay.
Usually right now, coming into September, there would be preseason games. They've obviously called all that off because it's unnecessary to have the teams interacting. And you don't want to get a positive COVID case in preseason.
No.
Because then you just the whole season's off. So all the teams are in their own bubbles right now, obviously practicing for the season to start. But yeah, usually October season starts and it goes all the way through till Feb. So hopefully we get a season. Hopefully they all stay safe and we don't get any positive COVID tests. I'm not too sure what the go is with if they're doing a hub like the NBA is, just having everyone in 2 or 3 cities and just playing games at just a handful of stadiums. I'm not too sure.
It would be also to see and yeah, hopefully we'll know more about the hub situation. It sort of depends as well on every single state in America and see how they're going with their COVID cases. Florida's fucked at the moment in regards to COVID. They're getting high numbers of COVID people and testing numbers every day, and people are still flocking to the beach because they don't give a shit.
No, and that's where all the NBA players are. I'm just oh god, please none of you get sick. Just stay healthy. We're so close to having the season resolve and end and have a result, and I don't want anyone to get sick, obviously, but I'd hate for all the guys to put on this much effort and then one of them's crook and you call the whole season off. It'd just be frustrating for everybody. So, anyway, sport, yay, woo.
Yeah, no. That's why I was curious. Is because it is something I would like to do more of. Is just I just didn't grow up in a sporting household. I'm the one oddball in Melbourne who didn't grow up in a sporting household, and so NFL is kind of something I would like to watch more of. But it's just sort of I have no context for when these things start and stop and all where to watch and all these sorts of things. I have no resources for that. So I'm gonna be relying on you a little bit there, Ricki, to be okay, I need you to hold my hand a little bit and be okay, here's when the games are, here's where you watch them, you go do that. It's okay, thank you.
Because there's only 1 or 2 games on 7 Mates. On a Monday morning.
Yeah, so 7 Mate usually get that. They get that Thursday night game, which is Friday morning here. Yep. They get a couple of games on their Sunday, our Monday, and then they usually get the Monday night game, which is the biggest game of the round, and that's our Tuesday morning. So yeah, it's Friday, Monday, Tuesday, are the days that they have it on free to. I'm hoping 7 Mate get more games within their whatever their contracting or licensing agreement is. Because it is because I've been going to this same Super Bowl party every year for like the last like 5 or 6 years, and it's at this pub in St Kilda. It's one of the best days of the year. Like AFL Grand Final is obviously one of my favorite days, just because it's, you know, I've fucking played and loved AFL since I was like 5 years old. But NFL is something that I've like recently got into in like the last sort of 8 to 10 years. And I kind of got into it because I got dragged to this Super Bowl party one year. And like, you know, just fucking come, yeah, Super Bowl, you know, get fucked up on a Monday morning. I'm just like, you had me at Monday morning.
5 o'clock somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But like a friend of mine who worked at this pub, he's from Texas, like huge into NFL, like he fucking loves it. He's also Scottish. So we went to his place. This was the first year we went. Went around to his place first. He cooks up like a full fucking like Scottish hot breakfast. So it is just like every bit of everything kind of meat you can think of. It's fucking baked beans and all this shit. Like it's just, he went hard on the breakfast. And also we're drinking mimosas at the same time because we're fancy. We're fancy boys. So we're down and just like shit tons of, and this is like 6 a.m. because the Super Bowl starts, I think, like 9 or 10, depending on where in America it's getting played. But yeah, it's like it starts super early here. So yeah, like 6 o'clock in the morning, we're at his place, just hoofing down this huge breakfast, like building up that layer in your stomach to like soak up all the incoming alcohol.
Yep.
And then we're like on the mimosas and the beers and stuff, and just walk around the corner to the pub he worked at. And you pay like, I think it's like $30 and they just keep bringing you food all day. And then like the drinks are cheap. But like the first year I went, it was like, there was, you know, 30, 40 people there. Pretty good. Like for a pub on a Monday morning, that's good business. But like this year I went, and it's like in those years since, it has just exploded. And I know it's the same for like, you know, places that do like specialize in American sport, like Sporting Globe and stuff now. Like it's blown up. Like the game has gotten so much bigger, like a bigger audience here in Australia in the last like 5 years. Super Bowl is starting to become a little bit of a day that people put in their calendar and go like, right, any chance to get a Monday morning off, I'll fucking take it. And like, I know, like Michael, you do the same thing. You usually book somewhere and like have a few friends and go nuts for Super Bowl. It's a fun day. Like it's one of my most enjoyable days of the year, just because like usually it's a bunch of friends that I don't get to see that often, all getting together. We all do like a tipping comp, and then we put aside a bunch of money from that tipping comp, and that's our bar tab for the day. Like we make it a fucking big deal. So it's a good excuse to get together with some friends you don't get to see. And then hopefully it's a good game as well. Like that's sort of like the last thing you care about, but usually it's just the drunken shenanigans you get up to it very early in the morning on a Monday that are kind of what you remember about each year. And it's just a good, it's a good day. It's a good thing to get into, and yeah, it's a good day out.
Yeah, no, that sounds like a good moment. That's what I mean. Like, that's certainly wouldn't mind trying to get more into it, and that's why I'm actually kind of surprised at like how, like, I get that, like, you know, Madden really is for people who've been playing it for the last decade, but I feel like there should be, especially because like, especially now that they're trying to push it on PCs and stuff, like they're trying to get it out there beyond consoles, like and putting it out internationally as well. Like honestly, the Madden 20 was like the first Madden I'd ever heard about getting like a wide release in Australia for a long time, like for a long time. And so I was like quite surprised by that. But so if you're trying to go international with it, I feel like there should be a dedicated section of the game, not a large one, mind you, but like a section of it that's just sort of like, okay, so you bought Madden because you want to learn more about football. Here's the learn about football section, and just like have it be a series of videos with some little gameplay bits that kind of teach you how to play the game and teach you about football at the same time. Like I feel like there's a whole gimmick there that you could do. That'd be just a good moment. With that, we'll leave it there. So I want to thank my guests for joining me today, Ricki Needs and Michael Thompson. Boys, thank you.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
And if you like this episode, please tell 2 friends in 2020. Really helps us out a lot. You can find us on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere you like to listen to podcasts. Just punch in Pint Party and you'll find us. And be sure to hit subscribe or follow or wherever on whatever that button is on your podcasting app of choice. That's really, really helpful. You can follow us on Instagram to keep up with all of our podcast gimmicks at pint.party. You can follow us there. You can also follow us on Twitter if Instagram's not your bag, at Pint Party as well. And if you're looking for more Pint Party throughout the week, I stream on Twitch from Thursday to Sunday from 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Pint Party. On Thursdays and Fridays, I play Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age, and on Saturdays and Sundays, I play Horizon Zero Dawn, which are both good moments. It's a very, very fun game. I'm actually thinking about doing some more streams, maybe doing some morning streams. I might play like Fall Guys or something in the morning, and do like kind of our Fall Guys fitness challenge gimmick that we started last week. That'll be fun. And you can catch all of this as well on YouTube. So if you search Pint Party on YouTube, you'll find our YouTube channel, and that's where all of our stream archives are and all of our previous episodes of the podcast. Everything is all there in one convenient place for you if you want to go and watch it there. And also, it just makes for fantastic background listening. Like if you're working from home and you're kind of on your own and it's a bit quiet and you just want to put something on in the background and make it feel like there's kind of other people in the room, why not listen to Pint Party? Put us on or put on one of the Twitch archives. There's honestly like well and truly almost 200 hours of content at the moment up there. So you're going to have a lot there for you to to put on. Like you're never going to run out of things. You're never going to loop that for a good long while. I think it'll be a good time for you. With that, this has been Pint Party. Cheers.
Cheers.
This podcast is part of the Hartefact Podcast Network. For more of this and our other podcasts, head to hartefactstudios.com.au.